Why do so many of us feel anxious after scrolling through our feeds, even when nothing bad has happened to us directly? Why, in a country more connected than ever before, do people report higher levels of loneliness, comparison, and low self-worth? And why, despite knowing that most of what we see on social media is filtered, curated, or even fake, do we still let it shape our moods and dictate how we feel about ourselves? These are not small questions. They represent one of the deepest struggles of our digital age. Social media was designed to connect, but for many Americans, it has become a source of stress, insecurity, and burnout. And this is where Stoicism offers a powerful solution. The same philosophy that helped ancient leaders endure betrayal, war, and uncertainty can also help us face Instagram likes, TikTok comparisons, and Twitter debates without losing our peace. In the United States today, social media use is nearly universal. Over 70% of adults and nearly 95% of teenagers spend hours each day on platforms designed to capture attention. On the surface, these platforms promise connection. We share photos, celebrate milestones, and follow communities of interest. Yet beneath the surface, the effects are troubling. Research shows that heavy social media use correlates with higher levels of anxiety, depression, and loneliness, especially among young adults. Comparison is relentless. Someone always looks better, travels more, earns more, or seems happier. Online conflict adds another layer, with political arguments, cancel culture, and digital shaming creating fear of judgment. The result is a culture where many live not with equanimity, but with constant emotional turbulence. Stoicism provides a lens to understand this struggle. The Stoics taught that external events do not disturb us. It is our judgments about them that do. Epictetus reminded his students, "It is not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." Applied to social media, this means the posts themselves are neutral. A photo of someone's vacation is just pixels. A negative comment is just words. The anxiety comes not from the post, but from our interpretation, our judgment that we are less than, that we are excluded, that we are failing. The Stoic solution is not to control social media, which is beyond us, but to control our interpretation. By reframing how we see what appears on the screen, we reclaim our peace. One of the biggest drivers of social media anxiety is comparison. Americans are taught from a young age to measure success by external markers, grades, income, popularity. Social media amplifies this, making comparison constant and unavoidable. Every scroll reveals someone thinner, richer, or seemingly happier. The Stoics, however, warned against this trap. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself that fame and approval are fleeting, irrelevant to the soul. Seneca argued that the wise man compares himself not to others, but to his own progress. In practice, this means shifting the focus from, "Am I doing as well as others?" to, "Am I living with integrity today?" A teenager comparing their life to influencers on TikTok can instead ask, "Am I acting with honesty, courage, and kindness?" An adult scrolling LinkedIn can pause and remember, true worth is not defined by titles but by character. This reframing transforms comparison into reflection. Another source of anxiety is online judgment. Many hesitate to post or speak online for fear of criticism or ridicule. This fear is powerful, and it keeps people trapped in silence or insecurity. But Stoicism dissolves this fear by reminding us that others' opinions are outside our control. Epictetus taught that seeking approval is slavery. Freedom comes when we care only about virtue. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "I have often wondered how every man loves himself more than all the rest of men, yet sets less value on his own opinion of himself than on the opinion of others." For Americans stressed about likes, comments, or followers, this wisdom is freeing. It means that peace comes not from being approved, but from approving of oneself through virtue. Critics may still speak, but their power fades when we no longer hand them authority over our emotions. Social media also fuels anxiety through endless noise. Notifications ping, feeds refresh, and attention fragments. The Stoics valued focus and presence. Marcus Aurelius urged himself to confine attention to the present task, to ignore distractions. Applied today, this means setting boundaries with social media, turning off notifications, limiting screen time, or practicing digital detox. These are not acts of weakness, but acts of discipline, aligning with Stoic simplicity. A person who checks their phone less is not disconnected, but freer. They reclaim control of their attention, which the Stoics would see as reclaiming their life. An overlooked element of social media stress is the illusion of control. Platforms create the sense that we can shape how others see us by curating posts, editing photos, crafting captions. But no matter how much effort we invest, reactions remain outside our control. Likes may come, or they may not. Posts may be praised, or they may be mocked. Anxiety grows when we cling to this illusion. Stoicism cuts through it. What others think is not yours to control. Your effort, your honesty, your integrity, these are yours. The rest belongs to fortune. This realization reduces anxiety, replacing fragile dependence on external reactions with stable reliance on internal virtue. The pursuit of equanimity, calm, balanced composure, lies at the heart of Stoicism. Social media makes equanimity difficult because its design thrives on emotional spikes. Outrage, envy, excitement, fear, these drive engagement. Equanimity threatens the business model. Yet equanimity is exactly what people crave. Stoicism trains this through daily reflection. Marcus Aurelius wrote each night to steady his mind, reminding himself of what truly mattered. For Americans today, this could mean journaling about social media use, what posts triggered envy, what comments sparked anger, what judgments caused anxiety. Writing them down, examining them, and reframing them through Stoic principles trains equanimity. Over time, social media becomes less storm and more passing weather, noticed but not feared. Importantly, Stoicism does not require abandoning social media entirely. Retreat is one option, but discipline is the higher goal. The Stoics lived in noisy, chaotic societies, yet they practiced peace. For modern Americans, social media is part of life, work, and community. The goal is not to flee, but to engage wisely. This means using platforms with intention, not compulsion, seeking connection, not validation, sharing with integrity, not performance. Stoic equanimity makes this possible. It turns the phone from a master into a servant. This is the promise of Stoicism for our digital age, that we can scroll without envy, post without fear, and live without being ruled by likes or comments. Anxiety will not vanish overnight, but it will lose its grip. We will remember that peace lies not in the screen, but in the soul, not in the reactions of others, but in the discipline of our own minds. For a country drowning in social media stress, this wisdom is not just ancient, it is urgently modern. The grip of social media on our emotions is not accidental, it is engineered. Platforms are designed to exploit attention, to trigger dopamine through likes, shares, and comments. Every swipe offers novelty, every notification promises validation. For many Americans, this constant stimulation becomes addictive. The result is a cycle of craving and disappointment. The joy of receiving likes fades quickly, replaced by the anxiety of waiting for the next hit of approval. The Stoics understood this cycle long before algorithms existed. They warned that chasing external validation, whether applause in the forum or likes on a post, creates slavery. Epictetus said clearly, "If you wish to be free, do not wish for things that are not in your control." Social media reactions are never in our control. Freedom comes when we release them. Comparison remains one of the most toxic effects of social media. Studies in the US show that young people who spend more hours online report higher rates of depression and body dissatisfaction. They scroll through curated images of beauty, wealth, and happiness, forgetting that what they see is edited, staged, and incomplete. The Stoics would say that comparison steals peace because it focuses attention outward rather than inward. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself, "Waste no more time arguing what a good man should be. Be one." Applied today, this means waste no more time comparing your life to filtered images. Live your life with integrity. The antidote to comparison is self-discipline. By focusing on virtue, on honesty, kindness, courage, we measure ourselves by timeless standards rather than shifting digital illusions. Social media also fuels outrage. Platforms thrive on conflict because anger drives clicks. Americans are constantly exposed to political fights, cultural battles, and endless debates online. Each argument invites reaction, each comment invites escalation. Anxiety grows because we feel pulled into storms we cannot calm. Here again, Stoicism provides a shield. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You always own the option of having no opinion." In practice, this means recognizing that not every fight deserves your energy. You can observe without reacting. You can read without exploding. Equanimity means letting storms pass without being swept away. For Americans in 2025, learning to scroll without outrage is a radical act of freedom. Another element of social media anxiety comes from fear of missing out, FOMO. Platforms constantly show others doing more, traveling farther, succeeding faster. People feel behind, inadequate, left out. Seneca addressed this directly. It is not that we have a short time to live, but that we waste much of it. Time wasted on envy is time lost forever. Stoicism reframes FOMO by reminding us that our task is not to live every possible life, but to live our own with depth. We cannot control what others do, but we can control how we use our days. A weekend spent quietly with family is no less valuable than a trip posted online. Equanimity means contentment with what is, not endless hunger for what others display. Practical tools from Stoicism can help manage social media anxiety. One is journaling. Just as Marcus Aurelius wrote daily to steady his mind, we can write after scrolling. Ask, what did I feel? Why did it disturb me? Was this within my control? This practice exposes illusions and helps reframe them. Another tool is voluntary discomfort. Epictetus recommended practicing going without luxuries to reduce attachment. Applied today, this might mean taking a weekend off social media entirely, proving to yourself that peace does not depend on constant scrolling. The discomfort of disconnection trains resilience, showing that life is richer offline. Setting boundaries is also deeply Stoic. The Stoics valued simplicity, reducing excess to focus on what matters. For Americans today, this could mean deleting apps from the phone, turning off notifications, or limiting use to specific hours. These are not small acts, they are philosophical choices. They declare, I will not be mastered by algorithms. I will choose how to spend my attention. Marcus Aurelius wrote that attention is life itself. What you choose to focus on shapes your soul. By limiting social media, we reclaim our soul from the digital marketplace. Stoicism also teaches us to reinterpret insults and criticism online. Digital spaces are full of harsh words, trolls, and shaming. Anxiety spikes when others attack us publicly. But Epictetus taught, if someone insults you, it is only their opinion. If it is true, accept it as correction. If it is false, ignore it. The insult does not harm you unless you accept it. This practice is liberating. It means online hate loses its sting. You remain steady because your worth is rooted in virtue, not in strangers' words. In a culture where cancel fear creates silence, Stoic equanimity creates freedom. Community is another key element. Social media often creates shallow connection but deep loneliness. People know hundreds of online friends yet feel isolated in real life. The Stoics believed in true community, built on shared values and virtue. They saw humanity as one body, interconnected and interdependent. Practicing equanimity means seeking real community, friends who encourage virtue, groups that value wisdom, spaces where honesty matters more than likes. Shared silence at a dinner table, meaningful conversation with one friend, or service to others creates more healing than thousands of digital interactions. Americans can reduce anxiety by investing in real connections rather than chasing digital approval. Generationally, this message is urgent. Gen Z, the first true social media generation, faces record levels of anxiety and depression. Many grew up measuring themselves against digital influencers, chasing validation online, and fearing exclusion from trends. Stoicism provides tools they can understand. It says you cannot control algorithms, but you can control your response. You cannot control likes, but you can control your integrity. You cannot control being included, but you can control how you value yourself. This reframing empowers them to engage with social media on their own terms, not as slaves to platforms, but as free human beings. Ultimately, the journey from social media anxiety to Stoic equanimity is about reclaiming control of the mind. Anxiety grows when we surrender that control to screens, strangers, and algorithms. Equanimity grows when we remember that peace lies within. The Stoics do not tell us to delete every account or retreat from the world. They tell us to live wisely, to focus on what matters, and to remain steady no matter what storms appear on the feed. For modern Americans, this is not just philosophy, it is survival. The transformation from anxiety to equanimity does not happen in one night. Social media is woven into the fabric of American life, shaping how people work, learn, connect, and even define themselves. To step away from its grip requires both courage and practice. This is why Stoicism remains such a powerful guide. It does not promise instant peace, but it offers timeless practices that build resilience over time. Each time you pause before reacting to a post, each time you refuse to measure yourself by likes, each time you choose presence over scrolling, you take a step toward freedom. And freedom for the Stoics was the highest form of wealth. Equanimity in the Stoic sense is not indifference. It is not about pretending social media doesn't exist or that words cannot hurt. It is about cultivating balance, about refusing to be ruled by what you cannot control. Marcus Aurelius faced constant criticism as emperor, yet he reminded himself that other people's opinions could not define him. Seneca lived under threats of violence, yet he reminded himself that fear is often worse than reality. Epictetus endured slavery, yet he taught that inner freedom could not be taken. If they could practice equanimity in the face of such trials, then surely we can practice it in the face of likes, comments, and online comparisons. This perspective changes how we see social media. Instead of a source of anxiety, it becomes a training ground for virtue. Every post that sparks envy becomes an opportunity to practice gratitude. Every comment that provokes anger becomes a chance to practice patience. Every algorithm that tempts with distraction becomes a test of discipline. Social media does not need to be an enemy, it can be a classroom. The Stoic task is to approach it consciously, with eyes open, remembering that the feed is not life, the screen is not the self, and peace is not for sale. One of the most practical ways to cultivate equanimity online is to use Stoic reflection daily. After spending time on social media, ask, what emotions did I feel? Were they within my control? Did I act with integrity? If not, what can I change tomorrow? This mirrors Marcus Aurelius's nightly practice of self-examination. Over time, this reflection builds awareness and steadiness. Another tool is to set intentional boundaries. The Stoics valued simplicity and moderation. Today, this might mean scheduling specific times for social media rather than allowing it to consume every free moment. It might mean turning off notifications, unfollowing accounts that fuel comparison, or using apps that limit screen time. These actions may seem small, but they are deeply Stoic. They assert that you, not algorithms, choose how to spend your life. Equanimity also requires remembering what truly matters. Social media thrives on trivialities: who is trending, what is viral, what is popular today. But the Stoics remind us that most of these things are distractions. Seneca wrote that we are not given a short life, but that we make it short by wasting time. Burnout often comes not from doing too much, but from doing too much of what does not matter. Practicing Stoic mindfulness means filtering the noise, focusing on what contributes to virtue and meaning. This may mean spending less time on feeds and more time in real relationships, in service, in reflection, or in nature. It may mean shifting from chasing external applause to cultivating inner strength. Another key practice is acceptance. Social media constantly confronts us with things we cannot control: others' opinions, curated images, false narratives. Anxiety grows when we try to control them. Equanimity grows when we release them. Epictetus taught that peace comes when we align our desires with reality. Applied to social media, this means accepting that people will post what they post, that algorithms will do what they do, and that the only control we have is over our responses. Acceptance does not mean apathy, it means freedom. It allows us to participate in digital life without being consumed by it. Community also plays a role in sustaining equanimity. Social media creates the illusion of connection, but often leaves people lonely. The Stoics emphasized true community, relationships based on honesty, support, and virtue. Building such communities offline helps reduce dependence on online approval. A meaningful conversation with one friend is worth more than 100 likes. Service to others provides deeper fulfillment than endless scrolling. By investing in real human bonds, we make social media less central to our self-worth. This shift reduces anxiety because it roots identity in what is stable and real. The cultural impact of practicing Stoic equanimity could be transformative. Imagine an America where young people engage online with resilience, less shaken by comparison or criticism. Imagine workplaces where employees use social media mindfully instead of compulsively. Imagine families where parents model equanimity, showing children that self-worth comes not from followers, but from character. These changes would not eliminate social media, but would reclaim power from it. Instead of being ruled by anxiety, Americans could engage with clarity. Instead of being drained by digital noise, they could use technology with purpose. Stoicism offers not just personal calm, but cultural renewal. For individuals, the path begins with small steps. Notice when you feel anxious after scrolling. Pause before reacting to a comment. Limit time on platforms. Practice gratitude for your own life rather than envy of others. Reflect each day on what you can control. These steps, repeated, build equanimity. Over time, anxiety loses its grip, replaced by steadiness. You realize that peace is not in the feed but in the mind, not in the approval of others but in alignment with virtue. This is the freedom the Stoics promised. So as we close, the invitation is clear. If you find yourself anxious after scrolling, if comparison steals your joy, if criticism shakes your peace, then remember the Stoic path. You cannot control what others post. You cannot control how they respond, but you can control your interpretation. You can choose to measure yourself by virtue, not by likes. You can choose to engage with discipline, not compulsion. You can choose equanimity over anxiety. And if this message has spoken to you, then I encourage you to join us on this journey. Subscribe to Think Fresh Daily for more insights where ancient wisdom meets modern challenges. Like this video if it helped you see social media differently. Share it with someone who is struggling with online stress and needs to hear that peace is possible. Together we can build a community not defined by followers or trends, but by resilience, clarity, and calm. The digital world will not stop moving. Feeds will refresh, trends will rise and fall, criticism will continue. But with Stoicism as your anchor, you can meet it all with equanimity. You can remain steady in the storm. You can live freely in a noisy age. And that choice always is yours.